So topic one, what is purchasing and supply management? We're going to talk now about the evolution of purchasing. How did we get to where we are today? What makes it so complicated today compared to, let's say, World War I's purchasing? We first started off with the clerical era. And then we moved into a transactional era, and now we're into the strategic era. But before World War II, purchasing was viewed as a clerical function. I'm sure you've seen those movies that had, a room full of women typing on typewriters. It was no more important than that. It was just sending letters saying, this is how much we need, send it here, and that kind of stuff. It was so simple. So during World War II, there were shortages, material shortages. So it starts to become more of an awareness of what's going on in purchasing. In about the 1950s to early 1970s, they started putting a manager over this function. So it became a managerial function. So they were actually starting to become concerned with it. Why would you put a manager over something like this if it wasn't important? Why would you pay somebody to oversee it? So the people started to see this, and then we started moving into about the middle to about the middle 80s here. Scarcity and inflation made purchasing more visible. Items became more scarce, prices skyrocketed. I remember my father saying he paid 21% as a mortgage interest rate when he bought a home during this time. We're down around 3% right now, so that's just amazingly high. So when we're looking at this, trying to be more strategic, we're moving into transactions. We're starting to keep an eye on it. And then we move into the middle 80s, about 1985 to 1990, just-in-time partnering. It's making our purchasing quasi-strategic. It's not quite strategic yet, but the just-in-time is making it where we're getting stuff in just as we need it, rather than when just having a huge stockpile in our warehouse. Because sitting on the warehouse shelf costs money. So about 1995 to today, outsourcing and supply chain management make purchasing strategic. We, as supply chain professionals, have a huge impact on our companies. We're the number one spenders in companies. Like I've said before, every dollar that we save is a dollar straight to the bottom line. So if we can get that product for $100 less per unit, then we're saving that much more money for our company. That could turn into possibly bonuses at the end of the year. That might increase our share value, might make the boss happy, might get you a promotion, all these different things. But the strategic view of it, the company can now use that money that wasn't spent towards another thing. Like I said, maybe bonuses, might be something else. Like maybe the company wants to expand into another area, another product line. And now they have the money to do that. So we're now starting to see that supply chain is getting a seat at the executive table. I'm sure you guys have probably heard of chief procurement officers, which is much better than just being somebody that falls under the chief information officer, which is usually where you find the supply chain. It's under the information officer. People are starting to see how valuable supply chain is and how much of an impact we can really have on companies. And I know once you guys finish this course and finish your studies, that you're going to have a huge impact on the companies you go to. Because look at the history. I want to be able to put up another thing up there. It says, from today into the future, that we can say we're guaranteed a seat at the executive table, at the chief suite. Because I know you guys can definitely do it. So let's look more at the strategic contribution that purchasing has done over the years in our next video.